Major shout out to everybody out there on YouTube, everybody that's watching. This is IAMThreeFive, and I was just thinking to myself lately, after putting out music for so much time and uploading so many albums, EPs, singles, and doing all these music videos, I started thinking to myself, I was like, the time was yesterday for me to really start putting out some content that pertains to my life beyond music. Stuff that's just outside of music, like beyond me just doing music, let y'all into my personal life, and tell people who I am. Why not be vulnerable? Why not, take it there? So this is Life Testimonials of IAMThreeFive Part 1. This is the first installment of this, you know what I mean? Welcome. And man, the first topic today is gonna be why I left teaching. Most of y'all don't know this, but I was a teacher for about 3 years. I taught for 2 years in Washington, D.C. as a Spanish instructor for DCPS, and I also did 1 year here in North Carolina as a teacher, as an ESL teacher. And in those years, I was able to really understand the profession a bit more and really understand if it's something that I see myself doing long term, and I'm not doing it anymore, so obviously I didn't see myself doing it very long term. And today I just wanted to break down some of the reasons and talk about some of the reasons why I chose not to continue on in the profession. Where do we start? I would say the first one, it's a really rough job. I mean, the first school that I was at was an elementary school in DC, and it was a public school, and it was a pre-K through grade 5 school. And during that time, I was the only Spanish teacher to the whole school. I think it was close to, if not over 500 kids in the school. And, it's in a rougher neighborhood, we would say. And so you had to deal with a lot of issues, within the school as far as pertaining to, students' behavior, things of that nature. And when I came into it, being a fresh teacher, the year was 2018 actually. Interesting story. The day I became a teacher, the first day I sit behind the desk as a teacher was the day that my sister had texted me that my dad passed away. I'll never forget it. I was just sitting behind the desk. Boom, the text comes through. This is the first time. This is the first day. I wasn't even on the job yet. We're still in training, but this is the first time they showed me my class. They said, look, this is where you're going to be working. This is your classroom here. You're going to have to decorate it. You're going to have to do all of this, but this is your desk right here. And I was like, cool, put down my stuff. Sat down behind the table. Boom, the text came through that my dad passed last night. That was in August of 2018. I was a teacher for the following 2 years. Yeah, man. And, in that time period, you get to see, I'm not going to lie, I'm not going to sugarcoat it, man. I mean, I saw so many things that I just didn't know about before. You hear about, but you don't really see it. For example, you got students who have behavior issues, but then you see who the parents are. The parents will come up to the school, and you look at the parents, and you're like, oh, shit, man. You see where a lot of the root issues are coming from, right? So you see a lot of societal issues and a lot of societal problems. And what's crazy about that position specifically was that was the most money up until that point, and even to be honest with you, since then, that I've made, on one job, and benefits of money, it had it for real. But what you're putting up with on the job, I mean, we shut down during the pandemic, and that was when I had resigned. It was a little bit before the pandemic happened. But I just remember going to work every day in that school, and it was a real old building. That was another thing, because the demographic of students that I was, dealing with were predominantly Ethiopian, predominantly of El Salvadorian descent, pardon me, and African American as well. Well, and it was just a rough environment between students having beefs with each other, of course fighting and all of that. And these are grade school students, and I've never seen something like that, you know what I mean? So did that, I was doing that for 2 years, and then lo and behold, eventually, we come to North Carolina, and I'm doing it again. And I'm seeing also another thing that kind of that steered me away from teaching is the environment in which you're teaching, because a lot of teachers don't talk to each other. They don't have good relationships with each other. It's not a very team collaborative environment, and it's not an environment where you're learning something new or you're being challenged. Me personally, I love to be challenged. I don't like to go into a place and do the same thing repeatedly. Like, the mundanity of that drives me insane. But a lot of people tend to like that thing, that sort of work, when you get into those sorts of fields and lines of work, you start to see that, you know what I'm saying? So I was able to see that. I saw, the sort of environment being a bit toxic, not being necessarily positive. And just imagine, we're teaching children, like, middle school children, elementary children, and the environment not being a very safe one at times. We would go into lockdown so much here in North Carolina and DC for active shooters in the area, like the lockdowns consistent, always going. Just as a work environment, man. And then also you would have to take work home because you would have to lesson plan, and lesson plans that you're seeing these students once a week, but it's the whole school. So you got a lesson plan for each of the different levels, and that could take quite a bit of time. Like, you're really doing your thing too. Then of course you had assistant principals and principals. Those are of course the people that you answer to. Those are not necessarily the type of people that I would say I get along with the best. That was a big reason. Just overall that environment though, man, like, teaching. But it still has those positives there, like you get to meet some amazing students. You're going to meet some of the best human beings ever, even on the job. Other teachers, a few people, though not many, no, but a few people that you meet are just going to be some of the most amazing people that you've ever met. It's like that on those sorts of jobs. But again, you have to take work home, and you're still thinking about work, when you're at home. Like, I still remember like it being Sunday night and dreading, Monday morning, because it starts early. That's another thing. Like, I'm not much of a morning person. I'm trying to change that. I believe that eventually I will, but for now, I'm more of a night person. And it's a field where, you have to be on duty at least by 7:30, 8 o'clock, in the morning. And that's as early as a lot of the stuff, that I'm telling you about, fights or whatever that might happen that early, like it was a lot of stress. It was a lot of stress, like I didn't want to continue going through that. I was like, like I'm with my wife, it's the weekend, but you're dreading Monday and you're thinking about Monday. Like, I didn't ever want to do that, for some money, for some so-called benefits. I was like, nah, like this isn't worth it. I figured out that it wasn't worth it, and I got out of it. And since then, I've been doing other things like going into the hospitality industry and working in that, and understanding that there are jobs out here where you don't have to change who you are, or you don't have to take work home. Like I told myself when I was teaching, whatever the next position is, whatever the next job is, I don't want to be taking work home. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to be thinking about work like you have to meet some sort of metrics or some sort of numbers, or you're having some sort of like evaluation the next day, like, and all kinds of stuff like that, just to, again, for money, really. Like, it's not really worth it. I'd rather just do my job and go home. And like when I'm at home, I'm thinking about what I'm thinking about, and I'm creating, and I'm in a positive environment, and I'm able to move forward. I'm not strapped down by these thoughts of work and people on the job and what they're saying about you, or ratings that you're getting, and stuff like that. So not having to worry about that was a great thing. So yeah, those are some of the reasons why I left. I did it. IAMThreeFive, and I'm out. That's it.